Welcome to Based on a Book, the judgment-free podcast where blushing is guaranteed. I'm Keri, your host, your safe word, and your red flag radar.
I'm Lindsey, and I'm thinking I should actually start reviewing terms of agreement before signing anything.
I'm Crystal, and my safe word is gumbo.
This month starts a new series in our podcast where we each take on a book series that's been fully made into either multiple seasons in a show or multiple movies. Still thinking about gumbo.
Me too.
Crystal guided us through the first season of His Dark Materials, but now it's time to flip it and reverse it. Because anytime I get a chance to make everyone dive into a steamy romance adaptation, I take it. And what better place to start than with a title that many say kicked off their spicy romance journey. In this episode, we are diving into 50 Shades of Grey by E.L. James and its 2015 movie adaptation, starring Dakota Johnson and Jamie Dornan. What was previously just a Twilight fan fiction titled Master of the Universe by Snow Queen Ice Dragon, 50 Shades of Grey swept through the media, now selling over 150 million copies worldwide. It's okay, Crystal, you can keep laughing.
I read that. I read this information, but when you say it out loud, it's just
amazing. It's incredible.
It really is.
So, selling over 150 million copies worldwide, even at one point occupying a spot in the top 10 list of the decade's best-selling books from 2010 to 2019, which was right there along with the other familiar titles such as The Hunger Games, which we are covering in the next episode. Even though ratings were very low for this adaptation, the first movie grossed over $569 million worldwide with a budget of $40 million. The trilogy itself made over $1 billion. So if you don't already know, 50 Shades of Grey is a story about college senior Anastasia Steele, who, when filling in for her sick roommate, interviews the famous billionaire CEO Christian Grey for the campus newspaper, having no idea the path this interview is about to take her. After this first meeting, and many more after, Christian and Anna can't seem to part from one another and soon plunge into a back-and-forth relationship full of pain and pleasure. This record-breaking romance series is full of so much drama and controversy, and I'm so excited to dive into it, starting with our non-spoiler ratings before we move into our spoilery breakdown of the book and movie. So I want to start with Lindsey, because this is a reread for Crystal and I. And Lindsey's the 50 Shades newbie. So I want to start with you, Lindsey.
Okay. Yeah, so I remember when the book was in the media. I remember it was blowing up everywhere. Everyone was reading it. And I was kind of an outlier. I was reading, but I was secretly reading romance.
Mm-hmm.
So I had never even picked it up, didn't even look at it. Reading it today, I will say my rating is 3.5 neckties. It's a really fun story, and it's fiction, so, don't look into it too much. It's not meant to be a literary masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, Crystal, what about you? How was your reread?
My reread was good. I think so. When I first read it, it was not like romance, even spicy romance was not new to me. And I really, really liked it. This particular genre of spicy romance was new to me. And so like I remember giggling, kicking my feet, blushing, but just being in love with it. And I wasn't rating books back then, but I probably would have rated the experience around a 4. The reread, however, like I better identify some of the like problematic parts of the book. And it kind of gave me a little bit of ick. So I kind of struggled because did I enjoy the story? Yes. If for the formulaic, you know, romance, it hits. It really does. But also there's definitely some major red flags in here. However, when you think about romance in general, there's usually a lot of red flags. So, you know, I really struggled. You know, this did have an impact on the community that it represents that was negative. That kind of factors into the rating that I give it. And I give it 2.5 whips.
Yeah, I also reread it. If you asked me, and I want to, like, I couldn't pinpoint when I read this, but it was definitely during peak hype of 50 Shades of Grey. And I want to estimate like 2013, because it was when talks of movie adaptation was happening,
Mhm.
and when the books, because it was published in 2011 and the books were mostly already out. But back then, you would have, if I was rating books back then, you would have heard a 5-star from me. Like, I was obsessed with these books, loved it. I wasn't really like thinking too much in depth about it. It was very surface level, like reading to me, and I was just like enjoying myself reading. Reading it now, and at this point now I've read hundreds of romance books, and so many with very similar power dynamics, um similar themes. Reread is mid. Entertainment is mid. uh I think at this point, rereading it, I do appreciate it, what it kind of represents. Like, you cannot deny what this book represents in the romance genre. It
Absolutely.
did something in the romance genre, whether it's good, it's bad, whatever. It did something. It had an extreme impact. Like, we can't even deny that this will actually be like almost like, quote, classic literature at one point, which is actually insane.
Yeah.
Like, it
Yeah.
will be considered, like, due to the amount of readers it has and how much it sold, it will at one point be considered classic literature, and that's kind of crazy. And we can't deny that it had an impact. This is only because of what I personally experienced. Like, something like, I read all the Sarah J. Maas series. I really love Sarah J. Maas a lot, but you can't deny reading Sarah J. Maas, and when it becomes so popular, a lot of stories about fae romance came out. Something very similar also happened with 50 Shades of Grey. 50 Shades of Grey was released 2011, last book released in 2012, and anybody, listening, watching, please correct me if I'm completely wrong on this, or if you can think of any other series that may have came out before 50 Shades that could have definitely impacted it. But other series that came out after 50 Shades that is very similar with the power dynamics. I'm thinking of like Bare to You by Sylvia Day, published in 2012. Same time, Original Sinners series, published by Tiffany Reisz, 2012. This Man, Jodi Ellen Malpas, I believe that's how you pronounce it, 2012. Very similar dynamics in those very popular series, but never hitting this popularity level that 50 Shades of Grey hit. And I mean, I will never deny that there's obviously books before 50 Shades that were just, also have similar power dynamics. Like, we could get into Anne Rice, um,
Right.
also as well, that was way before 50 Shades, but 50 Shades got to a level that we can't even comprehend, and
Mhm,
it's about a dumb sub relationship.
mhm.
So,
It's it not only had a massive impact on the romance literary world, but it had an impact on our culture.
mhm,
Like in the UK, they ran out of silver ink for printing the books because they couldn't keep up with printing them. Um, in the United States, uh, the adult toy market, like sales skyrocketed. This was a huge like awakening for a lot of people. This was their first introduction to this dom sub relationship,
mhm.
and it really had a huge impact on society, on our culture. And there's no denying that, like you said, for good or for bad, there's no denying there was an impact.
Yeah, and I do think that, you know, romance gets such a bad because, romance gets scrutinized so badly when it comes to how it impacts other people over other genres. Um, where because it's something that is romanticized, people romanticize these things and people scrutinize that more than anything over any other genre. Um, so I don't believe this author wrote this book as this guide,
I don't think so
a
either.
step-by-step guide to have this type of relationship. I think she wrote about a relationship and bad things happen in this relationship, good things happen in this relationship, and this is just a relationship about two people named Anastasia Steele and Christian Grey. And but people really scrutinize it and be like, this is bad representation of this community and all this stuff. And I do get that. And I understand that. And I
Have you
understand that
ever watched
impact.
Phineas and Ferb? I
Yes.
know it sounds something, but I'm going somewhere, I promise. There's the character Doofenshmirtz that is the evil scientist. If you've ever watched Inspector Gadget, there's what is it? Dr. Claw is the evil scientist. But nobody has ever said that's a bad representation of the scientific community. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? It's fiction, folks. It's
Mm-hmm.
very clearly fiction. Where there's some bad representations here, abso-freaking-lutely. So what? If this is your introduction to something and you're thinking to yourself, oh wait, that sounds interesting to me, you can't expect that this was your guide. You should maybe go look for some other source material to find out more. Just
Yeah.
like if you look at Dr. Claw or Dr. Doofenshmirtz and think to yourself, I could be an evil scientist, you might not start with an animal sidekick. You might get a science degree first. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Come
Yeah.
on.
And I mean, even with like, dark romance in general and, dipping your toe into dark romance, things like that, you get into the power dynamics and the elements of having a toxic relationship like this, people will scrutinize that and it gets more hate than ever because of that toxic relationship. I mean, you're romanticizing it and all this stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, like, we romanticize horror movies all the time. We romanticize, serial killers in these horror movies every day.
Right.
But we scrutinize so badly on the romance genre more than ever over any genre. And I just find that so
I think it's because
fascinating.
it empowers women, and that's
Women
I,
like it.
women love it, so it must be bad. Like that's just
Yeah.
all there is to it. Women
Yeah.
love it. It doesn't serve men the same way it serves women, and therefore it must be bad.
hmm And that's not to say that I don't think Christian Grey has plenty of red flags.
Major red
He's
flags.
got major red flags. But I think that we are old enough and smart enough to identify these things and be like, yeah, no,
Right.
this is bad. I can be like, this is not okay. But I could still read it and also
And
be
giggle
like,
and blush and kick your feet.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. But now that you've heard all of our non spoiler thoughts, it's time for our book versus movie breakdown, which means from here on out, it will be full spoilers in this episode. If you haven't read or watched the first book in the 50 Shades of Grey series, this is your time to pause the episode, do that, and come back, or pause the episode and leave it at that, because we are going to be talking about some very spicy content because this is 50 Shades of Grey. But in addition to that, we will be discussing childhood sexual assault and abuse in this story, so please be aware of that moving forward. If you would like a full list of content warnings that are in the book, Storygraph is an excellent resource to find them. So I want to go ahead and get into casting first. Casting for this first movie. So E.O. James was a producer in the movies, and the director of the first movie was Sam Taylor Johnson, which I was actually a little surprised by. I don't know if you both know who Sam Taylor Johnson is.
I do.
Little controversial
Yes.
person, little
Yes.
controversial lady.
Yes.
But so casting, I remember when this first was being talked about and discussed, it was the biggest deal.
Mm-hmm.
It was insane. Everyone was going insane about this casting because casting these two people, Anastasia Steele, Christian Grey, our two main characters, was essential for this story. Kind of essential when it comes to romance adaptations in general, because that is like kind of the whole point. The relationship is the entire point. Chemistry has to be on point.
Mm-hmm.
Everything about these two people, they are the main plot. They are the storyline.
Mm-hmm.
So they are essential to make this movie good. And the rumors were crazy about who was going to be Christian Grey. We had Ryan Gosling up in here. That's who E.O. James really wanted, Ryan Gosling. We had Ian Somerhalder up in here. There were like petitions to have, I think Matt Bomer, is that how you pronounce that?
I liked the idea of him.
Yeah, there were like petitions out there. Hundreds of people were like petitioning to have him. Then at one point, the Sons of Anarchy actor, Charlie, he was actually casted, ready to go. And there were petitions to get him off. And everyone hated him to have him as Christian Grey. And he was eventually removed from the movie. So then eventually we got his name just left me.
Jamie.
Jamie. We eventually got Jamie. And then even at one point, Lucy Hale had auditioned to be Anastasia Steele. Didn't get it. So in the end, we got Dakota Johnson as Anastasia Steele. Jamie for Christian Grey. For Kate, we got Eloise Mumford. Elliot, we have Luke Grimes. For the mom, we know who this mom is.
Mm-hmm.
For Christian Grey's mom, same lady from The Mist, Mrs. Carmody from The Mist. Mia, we have Rita Ora, which was so random, but so cool. I really like Rita Ora. But yeah, so the casting was crazy. The talks of the casting was insane.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember this was like peak my Vampire Diaries days. So I was like, Ian Somerhalder, please be casted as Christian Grey. I really wanted him. I loved him at the time. That was my dude.
I think we ended up with the right cast, though. Honestly,
yeah,
I really think we did. The chemistry is undeniable.
Yeah, I really, really like Dakota Johnson as Anastasia Steele. Love her. Jamie, jury's still out on him for the first movie. I know I've already seen all the movies, read all the books. First movie, I feel like he's like trying to get his groove in the first movie a little bit. There are moments where he's amazing, and then moments I feel like he's a little goofy.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's a little goofy guy in the first one.
There were a couple of moments when I was like, wait, he's in the book, he was like confident and smooth even when he was red flagging.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow in the movie there were a couple of moments that came off very creepy, and I was just like, wait, I don't think that's not supposed to be creepy. That's supposed to be like aggressive.
Yeah.
Like, but in a confident aggressive. Like, I don't know. It was Christian Grey just has a way about him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he just has a way about him. It's not creepy. It's definitely stalkery, but
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
not creepy for whatever reason.
Yeah. So the story begins with our innocent, awkward college student, Anastasia Steele, doing a favor for her sick bestie, Kate, by going in as a replacement to interview a billionaire CEO for the school paper with only 4 questions in her pocket. He's being interviewed like that would freak me out. I like if I had to cover for an interview, I only got 4 freaking questions. Can
Yeah,
I get some more material here? Like
right.
that's insane. He's being interviewed because he will be giving a speech at their graduation ceremony. So this billionaire CEO is Christian Grey, and their first encounter is as Wattpad as it gets, as she quite literally falls on her face the second she steps in the door to meet him. Christian is very much the opposite of everything she is. He's very much like statue, low-key robotic at first. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
just literally just like standing at his desk and then sitting there just like prepared for the interview, not moving at all. Also in the book, he has copper-colored hair. Did anyone notice that?
Nope, didn't pay any attention.
Yeah, he has copper-colored hair in the book. Also, I definitely don't recommend listening to the audiobook.
No, it
The
didn't.
audiobook did not hit at all.
It didn't. It really didn't.
Like, I think we need a new narrator on that one.
Yeah.
It was very, like, dull.
It was very dull, almost like bordering on Valley Girl.
Yeah.
It wasn't Valley Girl, but it was kind of that, like, I don't know. It just wasn't right. It just
Mm-hmm.
wasn't right. Although I will say the way Anastasia is like so naive in this first part of the book. She's like, it's it's like he's got a secret and I can't figure out what it is. It's like he's trying to tell me something. It's like he's hinting at something. Like, girl, he is talking about sex. Like,
Yeah.
and she's just whoosh, right over her head. But it's
Because
so
she has no
like
experience. She's
she's
not
super naive.
Yeah. So he's kind of immediately amused by her timidness. They have an instant tension. Coming into the interview, they only had 10 minutes, but now he's canceling all his meetings because he wants more time with her. It's so funny in the movie. She has like a very like Dakota Johnson, I feel brings Anna's character to life a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more. She is very like mid vanilla, just like very average girl
Yeah.
in the book. In the movie, she's like bringing Dakota Johnson's like bringing this like very awkward, almost like dry humor funniness to Anna's character that was not in the book at all. And I
Mm-hmm.
really like that because I feel like if that wasn't in the movie, it would be kind of boring.
But still embracing that like somewhat introverted,
Yeah.
somewhat quiet character. Like, she brings a little bit of that dry humor without changing the character. It's really nice. She does
Yeah,
a great
like
job.
when I was rewatching it, I was like, I forgot how many like hilarious like one-liners she
Mm-hmm.
had
Mm-hmm.
in the movie. Like he was like, I hope you got everything you need. And she's like, I think you only answered 4 questions, but okay. And then he's like, okay, bye. And then so after the interview and giving the limited information you can only get from 4 questions to Kate. And Kate's like, amazing job, amazing work. Everything I needed.
When she's getting in the elevator, she has the questions in her bag, and he distracts her, and she turns, and he grabs the
Snatches.
questions and then
Mm-hmm.
emails all of the answers.
Yeah.
So I imagine there was way more than 4,
Mm-hmm.
but
True.
I want to know what those questions were.
I
I
know.
do too.
So Anna then heads to her job, which is at a hardware store called Clayton's. And Mr. Gray pops up at the hardware store asking for cable ties, tape, and rope. And the way he pops up in the movie had me dead.
Mm-hmm.
He just like pops around the corner and she's like, what the fuck?
He's like, fancy meeting you here.
Like, he honestly pops up like a serial killer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's actually insane.
It gives stalker creep.
And she even says that when he's asking for these items, she's thinking he's doing some kind of DIY project, but he's like obviously interested in something else with these cable ties. She even says it like, this is perfect for a serial killer. And he's like, like he's just like standing there.
He says, not today, which is funny because he plays a serial killer in the movie The Fall that came out in 2013.
Yep, not today.
Yep.
Just in another movie.
Maybe later.
And he even shows like a little bit of his jealousy moments with a guy that works there, Paul. Like, which this happens so often in the book. And like Anna is just like, she has no awareness of the men that are, which is so like, I'm probably gonna bring this
She's
up a
so
lot.
clueless.
This is so fan fiction.
Yeah.
This is so Wattpad, where like I have no idea all these guys are in love with me around me, and like, but I'm just like, I have no experience of, you know, social interactions with guys, and I
Never
like,
been kissed, never been in a relationship,
Yeah.
senior in college.
yeah.
Like,
So like this is very fan fiction.
Yeah.
And you know, freaking billionaire CEO is like absolutely infatuated with her. And he's like looking at this guy, like making eyes at him, like, don't touch her. And she's just like so confused at what's going on, has no idea what's going on. Also, she keeps saying, like, yes, sir, to him. And he just like getting this dark look in his eyes. He's like looking at her like his eyes down. He's like, yeah. He goes out of his way to be with her, even agreeing to do a photo shoot for Kate's article where Christian confronts Anna again about another man in Anna's life, which is Jose, and whether she has a boyfriend. And when he gets that moment of confirmation, she's like, no, like, I don't, like, what are you talking about? All these guys around that are making eyes at me. I have no idea what you're talking about. And he kind of gets excited and takes her to a coffee shop to kind of gauge the possibility of what they could have. And Anna's very clearly crushing on this man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, internal dialogue we're getting is like, I really like him. Like, and I can't believe he likes it. Like, she's very insecure.
She's the heart eyes emoji. He's not.
Yeah, he's like the knife.
Yeah.
And so she's inexperienced and she's like, I kind of like this guy until she brings up romance to him and he's immediately scared, freaks out. He's like, I don't do the girlfriend thing. Cuts the date off, making them return home. They keep having their Wattpad moments, almost getting run over by a bicycle, grabs her face. He's like, you need to stay away from me. And his way of showing her that she needs to stay away is sending her expensive first edition novels when she finishes her final exam. It's like, stay away, but I'm going to send you expensive gifts.
Where's that man in real life? Like, because
Like,
I got
I'm
a
gonna
list
fall
of
in
things.
love in that case. Like, come on.
Nope. I will tell you I love you, and you can keep telling me to stay away if you're going to keep sending me gifts.
So,
first editions, all right. I don't mind.
So she, you know, she's in college, so she finishes final exams. So I'm Kate in this situation. It's time to party. Let's go out. In the movie, everyone's taking shots. Kate's like, did you take all of it? That's me. Did you take all your shot? So while they're out, Anna goes to the bathroom. This part was killing me.
This part's me.
I was about to say, this part is also me. Yeah. Drunk dials Christian in line at the bathroom. In the movie, he answers the phone. He's like, Anastasia? She's like, yep, this is me. She's in line. She's like, just telling you that I don't want your books that you sent me. And that's all. And hangs up. And to the random girl in line, she's like, I told him, right? And the girl's
sure
like,
did.
What? Who are you?
Girl, have
calls
another
back.
girl's back. Come on now. You sure
Yeah,
did, queen.
yeah, you did, girl. You did. I don't know who you're talking about, but you did.
Yup.
He calls back. He's like, I'm coming to get you. And she's like, you don't even know where I am. Like, that's weird. Okay. And, realizes she's drunk at the bar, and his controlling ass shows up right when the friend Jose that's had a crush on her keeps trying to kiss her, even though she keeps saying no. And it's just like the whole scene is so chaotic. Christian comes up, pushes Jose away. She throws up. Bleh.
This is such a Jacob Edward moment.
It is so Jacob Edward coded. It was. Eventually, Christian gets her out of there, leaving his brother Elliot with Anna's friend Kate. So they kind of become a thing, Kate and Elliot. Next morning, Anna has a killer hangover. He's like, how are you feeling? She's like, better than I deserve. That's me. Every hangover. Like, better than I deserve, honestly. I'm not drinking again. So she's in his bed, but they didn't do anything because he took care of her while she was drunk. But he's being super flirty. I like this part in the movie.
I will say, when she was like, did we do anything? And he was like, I am not into necrophilia.
Yeah, I was like Jesus.
Is this a vampire reference?
Maybe.
I was like, God dang, okay. But he's like being so flirty. Like when he comes, he's like, you wouldn't be able to sit down for a week, and he comes up and like bites the toast. I'm like,
I was
she's,
so
like,
mad
sitting there
about
shook.
that. I was like,
She's like
why are
sitting there
you?
shook.
I know, and it was supposed to be really sexy, but I'm over here like, don't eat my food.
Don't eat my toast. I'm trying to get the carbs in. I just drank my weight in liquor. All right. Like I'm literally about to pass away as we speak. And like she keeps biting her lip. He's like, I want to bite that lip. Like I don't know why, but the way he would say things, I wanted to laugh because I'm like, I don't know. I feel like he's just like a goofy guy. Like he's just goofy.
Also, I'm pretty sure this is when he started calling her baby, and I started screaming internally.
Especially in the book.
Yeah.
Not a ton in the movie. I think he only does like
only a couple of
once
times
or twice.
Yeah.
But in the book, he says it a lot, and I'm just like,
I hate that.
I don't know you.
Like, I don't mind being called babe, hun, darling, sweetheart, but for whatever reason, baby in particular just makes me want to punch people. Like, don't call me baby.
Well, I don't like it
you.
when we're not together yet.
Right.
Like, I don't like it early.
But even after that, like, she's a full-grown adult. Mm-hmm. Stop calling her baby. Stop that. Stop that.
And then she like wants to kiss him, and he will not kiss her, and he's like, I need your written consent before touching you. And she's like, what in the hell is he talking about?
It was so dramatic.
Yeah, and she's like, okay. And so she's like getting ready to leave because he's like, I'll take you back home. This is probably the most disturbing part of the entire book, literally the entire series. Her continuously using his toothbrush.
Had me messed up.
You want to talk about disturbing? You want to talk about, like, I need content warnings if we're using each other's toothbrush.
Yep.
Constantly.
I was like, Anastasia, no! Like, ugh.
You're disgusting.
And she's over here like, it's so romantic. And I'm like,
The crusty, musty Anna, don't do that again.
No.
You nasty. You are disgusting.
And toothbrushes are so cheap. You can't tell me there weren't more around.
Oh my God. So, he has to like abide by rules internally. Like you could tell he's like fighting to abide by rules internally. And he's reaching like, he has like his own personal limits. And Anna naturally breaks those limits for him. Like he would never touch her unless he's doing what he likes to do. But then he like goes to take her home, and they have this like steamy moment in the elevator before they leave. Like he keeps being like, I'm not good for you. But then like he wants to take care of her. Like they have this back and forth crazy relationship, and we're just like getting into it. But later, he asked to take her on a date to Seattle because that's where he lives in his huge penthouse. He was staying at a hotel close to her before, but this date turns out to be in a damn helicopter. He's like, takes her on a whole helicopter ride. He's like, what are you waiting for? Love me like you do. Love me like you do. Record scratch. I need you to sign this NDA.
Right? That's exactly what happened.
We cannot
too.
say anything else until you sign this NDA
The
right
music
now.
stops. No one's
It
allowed
said,
to talk. Yep.
sign right here before we speak another word because you can't tell anyone else what I'm about to tell you. That's literally what happens. That's literally what happens.
Wait, doesn't she at one point be like, "Are you gonna make love to me now?" Which
I'll tell you exactly what the quote is. She said, "Does this mean you're gonna make love to me now?" She said, "I don't make love. I fuck hard." And when he said the actor says that, I started cracking up because
Yep.
he's a goofy guy. He's just a goofy guy.
Yeah. I watched this with one of my guy friends, and we both started cracking up. He
I
turned to
literally,
me and he was like, "I fuck hard too," and I was like, "Oh, do you?"
if someone said that to me, I literally would have been like,
No.
blocked. I'm just kidding. Literally,
What?
that whole part, like I was like, okay, dramatic.
Well, she's
Okay.
super naive. "Are you gonna make love to me now?" Doe eyes over here.
Yeah, and she signs this, and she's like, all right, fine, I'll sign it, no problem.
She doesn't even read it.
Yeah. And, he's like, all right, I'm going to show you to my playroom. And in the movie, this cracked me up. She's like,
It did.
like with your Xbox and stuff. And he's like, no. So basically, she goes into this playroom and she's like shook to her core because she has no experience in anything like this. And he basically says that he wants to be her dom and wants her to be his submissive. And I feel like Christian thinks he has a sub detector, basically, it with women, and he thinks it's Anna. Like that's basically what happened this whole beginning part.
Yeah.
And she's like looking through this playroom and she's like, you're gonna use this stuff on me? And here's Jamie with this corny ass smile. He's like, yes. He's like, yeah. He's like standing outside. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. But like, it's like low key like sad. It's like low key sad because he's like really excited about it. Like he's excited to do this and move forward in this relationship this way because he's like, I finally found someone I get to do this stuff with because he's had like not that many people that he's done these things with.
15.
I mean, he's
26,
older.
27, like 5
28.
years older. Whatever.
27, 28, yeah.
But 15 that lived at his place and signed the contract. Many others that didn't necessarily live there, just
Yeah.
a one-timer or a couple of timer thing.
Yeah. I mean, I just like I kind of like I don't know. I feel kind of sad for him because it's like he really wants this to work. Like he wants us to work with this person really badly. And he's like, look, I got all this stuff prepared and all these things. And she's kind of like, huh? Like, what the hell is going on? And Christian's like, we can discuss what you like, what you don't like, and what do you enjoy and all these things. And she's kind of looking at him like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about because I've never done this before. Never had sex, nothing like that. And he's like shook to his core. He is out here ready to discuss the craziest hard limits of his life, and she doesn't know what's going on.
And in the book, he is like legit, like upset with himself, pacing, super mad, pulling at his hair, like, how did I let this happen? How did I miss this?
Yeah, because
in the movie, he's like, wait, what? Okay, let's fix that. Like,
because I think he really thinks he has like a radar, and his radar was off on this one. I think that's what happened here. So they get together for the first time, and in the movie, hot.
Mm-hmm.
It was so hot. I'm sorry.
Yep.
It's the truth.
It's the truth.
It's the truth. That was good stuff. That was good. And honestly, I was waiting for it to be cringe as my rewatch. I thought it was cringe, but it was actually really good. And honestly, I think it's really funny that she's like, she wasn't really like this in the book, but in the movie, she's kind of giggly when she's
Mm-hmm.
like being like tied up, or when she's like, he's trying to take things seriously, and she like giggles about it with him.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's what causes him to change a little bit. Like, usually if she was doing that, he would make like a switch and like want to do his old ways. But I feel like he likes her playfulness,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what kind of makes him change the way he is a little bit. And it's kind of like opening up to like a different side of him. And I feel like Dakota Johnson kind of pushed that more in the
Mm-hmm.
movie than what we see in the book. We don't really see that side. And seeing that physically with your eyes, I feel like that was really well done. Because,
Yeah.
we can only do so much in this movie.
Right.
And because in the book, we are having a lot of spicy scenes. Like,
A
so many
lot.
more spicy scenes than what we're seeing in the movie.
So much.
So having this like these moments and connections that they have, like this quirky side to where I feel like was necessary in
Yeah.
the movie. But during one of these moments, Anna's having an awakening of sorts, being tied up with Christian's tie. His mother shows up unannounced. It's kind of shocking to see. His mom's shook that he has a woman around. So this is kind of like another stepping stone for Christian that we see.
Mm-hmm.
And after the mom leaves, Christian starts going into detail about the contract. They will eventually get into it about the Dom sub relationship, talking about how she would have her own room and will not sleep with him, and they won't be having dates because that is not a normal relationship. He's not doing a normal relationship. She's kind of put down by that, wants to go home, so he takes her home, but gives her the contract to think about. As they're driving home, in the movie, we get Earned It. Oh my god, the soundtrack is killer.
It really is. It really is. I've
Like,
been listening to it for the last couple of days.
Earned It. Oh my god, love
Mm-hmm.
that song. And Anna, during this whole ride home, and then when they get back to the house, Anna's being really pushy to Christian, and which he is not used to, and wants him to open up. Which he starts to be over his past and how all of this got started. He reveals that his mother's friend seduced him at 15 and introduced him to this lifestyle where he was her submissive for 6 years, and Anna assigns her the name Mrs. Robinson and hates her due to her predatory behavior.
Fair.
Yeah. But Christian is super protective of Mrs. Robinson, saying that he still talks to her and she's a friend.
That's very Stockholm syndrome-y.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. People tend to become protective of their abusers, whether it's really hard for them to see that they were abused, because I feel like there's a lot of shame with that too. And so that was, I don't know, obviously this is fiction, so I'm not going to like go into a psychological profile of this fictional character, but it's not uncommon for that to happen. Yeah. But also that is absolutely predatory, and Mrs. Robinson absolutely did molest a child.
Mm-hmm. And Mrs. Robinson is going to be very present in this series. After they have this conversation, Christian's like, go home, read the contract, let me know if you have any questions. He buys her a laptop to do her sub research on. And the contract is a little crazy. And honestly, my personal opinion, most out-of-pocket thing to me is that I must ensure 8 hours of sleep and not snacking between meals except for fruit.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I love fruit, but I also
Don't tell
love
me what I can
Cheez-Its.
and can't eat. I'm afraid that's where I draw the line. And that's
We
where
did
Anna
too.
draws the line too. Yeah. She is drawing the line. She is scratching out all kinds of things on that contract. She's like, oh, what the hell is this?
I really love though that like we see her standing up for herself. Like,
Yeah.
I'm willing to try and learn new things, but also, like, there are some things that I draw the line. I'm not even gonna try it.
Hard
Yeah.
limit.
Yep.
Hard limit. I
She's
do
basically
hate that he pushes those limits, though, constantly telling her over and over, you'll like it if you try it, when she's saying, no, I
Mhm.
know me and I don't want to even try it.
Yeah.
Like, boy, shut up and listen. She knows herself better than you do.
Mhm. Yeah. She's basically having like an internal crisis as she goes on her snow patrol runs because
Yep.
she has no experience and he is talking all kinds of crazy to
Mm-hmm.
her. My favorite scene is when she jokes around that she's not in. She like sends an email. She's like, I'm not interested. It was nice knowing you. And he shows up at her place and he's like, oh, it was nice knowing me. It's been nice knowing me.
Mm-hmm.
And in the scene in the movie, oh my god.
Honestly, in
I
this
was
scene in the
screaming.
book, it was amazing.
It
Like,
was
this
amazing
was
in the
like,
book.
yep.
Yeah, amazing in the book. In the movie, it's like haunting you like you've been haunting
Mm-hmm.
me. The soundtrack is so good.
So good.
Play it on repeat.
Mm-hmm.
Play it on repeat. Then he flip it, smack it, and reverse it.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does.
That was insane.
Mm-hmm.
I was screaming.
I was trying not to scream.
I was literally like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he did that. And it was great.
It was so great.
There was so much controversy in this movie. Also because like people were like, oh, he's married. Like there's no way that they didn't have like some type of relationship while
Whatever.
filming this entire series. I remember that was like a huge thing because of all that stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh.
My
And
thing was, after reading this book, how are you going to make a movie that's rated R out of that book without leaving out half the book? And they
yeah.
did leave out half the book. They had
Yeah.
to, but they
Yeah.
managed to do it.
Yeah. And there was like whenever they had they made the first movie and there was like so much controversy, Jamie he was talking about how like he had to like go into hiding for a little bit because of how much like anger he was getting at from people and he was freaking out because he's like we just signed contracts to do the next two movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like and we have to do them. So like that's concerning. So at this point in the story, they have a conversation together, basically a meeting to discuss the contract, what their soft, hard limits are, what's going to be in the contract, finalizing the contract. It's like a little business meeting, and it is way funnier in the movie. The
Absolutely.
movie is hilarious. The negotiating scene is so perfect, and like he like puts his hand on her to get her into the business meeting. She's like, "Business meeting, don't touch me." Business
Mm-hmm.
meeting. And she's like, "Oh, you like seem really prepared." He's like, "I've done this before," and she's like pissed. She's like, "Oh, you've done this before." He's like, "Business meeting. I've done a business meeting before. Not the
Mm-hmm.
contract meeting, the business meeting. Calm down. Business meeting." And they're going through all the things. He even throws in date night once a week because he's just feeling spicy, feeling nice.
Now,
Um,
in the book, though, he like, it doesn't quite go down like this, but it's kind of
mhm.
similar. And she says, I want more romance out of you. And he
Yeah,
says, I'm willing to do a little romance if you're willing to try some of my stuff. And that's kind of how
yeah,
this goes. But in the movie, he's like, I'll throw in a date night, you
yeah.
know?
Like this is honestly at this point, there you can tell the dynamics are very different
Mm-hmm.
in how their personalities are. She has a lot more like bratty behavior,
Absolutely.
and he is not he's still controlling, obviously, but not as bad as he is in the book, I will say. Like, there's much more controlling behavior happening
Mm-hmm.
in the book. But
Mm-hmm.
so they negotiate this contract. She still leaves the dinner with the possible idea that they'll never see each other again because, like, she's just still struggling with the fact that he doesn't want everything that she wants. She wants a lot more. He's still, like, you know, not really getting there. Like, she's still comparing, like, his brother Elliot and her friend Kate's relationship. Like, they're going on dates, they're doing all these things,
Right.
and, like, they're not having that relationship together.
Mm-mm.
So graduation comes, and as we know, Christian gives a speech where he's wearing the tie that he used to tie her up,
The tie.
the gray tie that he used to tie her up. And in his speech, he does like reveal a little bit more about himself, that he's working with a foundation that helps those like in poverty, people who are hungry, because he says he knows what that's like. She kind of has this little revelation about him and decides to dive into this relationship and makes a verbal agreement with him to sign the contract. Christian even meets her stepdad, and they get a public photo together, which is like very unusual for this billionaire CEO. Christian even gives her a car for graduation, and she like freaks out about it. A car.
I
It
mean, 'cause at
sells
this
her
point,
old car.
they've only known each other for what, 2 weeks at this point?
Yeah.
3 maybe. And he buys her a car. I get it. I get why she's like, whoa, I can't do
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah. And
That
then after he's like, she rolls her eyes and he punishes her. So this is like the first time it's moving in the relationship of like him punishing her for different things that she's doing, and she agrees to it, like whatever. And she she's very like giggly in the
Mhm.
movie compared to in the book. Like she's kind of like laughing about it. But afterwards, he's like kind of like just like moving on. I like in the book I remember him like always like she would be upset that he's leaving and he would end up staying. In the
Right.
movie, it's very emphasized that he's always leaving.
Always.
Always leaving, never staying the night, never staying in the bed with her. And in the book, he would eventually come down and be like, "Okay, I'll stay with you. I'll stay with you."
Yeah. And
And so
he is making an attempt in the book to be more a part of her idea of a relationship, to be more romantic. He keeps saying, is this more? You said you wanted more. Is this what you're talking about? Like he keeps checking in with her about like, is this what you want? Is this what you're expecting? So it's almost like he's trying to do more for her since she's trying to do more for him, but neither one of them is communicating very well about what those things are.
mhm. Yeah.
They don't speak each other's language,
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree. Part of the contract is even getting her on birth control. So he brings a doctor in to do that. And then after that, they have their first night in his playroom. And he basically gives her all the rules, and they have their whole night together. And like, he just like, I feel like he just sucks at he just sucks at aftercare. He sucks at the aftercare portion of this. And, and that's very essential in this type of relationship. And, he's just like, you sleep in this room when you're done by yourself. And so after we're done in this playroom. And so she does that, and then he takes her to dinner with his family, and Kate is even there because of Elliot. This is a big deal because he's never brought a woman to meet his family, but she has a lot of insecurities about it. She gets in her head of being there, and so she like makes up. She's like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to Georgia to go see." Like she wants to be someone that has plans. She's like, "I have interviews. I'm going to Georgia to see my family," and at this point, I feel like the character, especially at this point, feels very different with Christian in the book versus Christian in the movie. Christian in the book is at this point super like angry, controlling. He's still angry and controlling in the movie, but not as bad. In the book, he's punishing her for not telling him those things. In the movie, he like kind of takes her away and like has like a conversation with her, but she kind of controls the situation.
Right.
She controls the conversation and shifts it. And, he does say this, like, before where, like, the whole point of being my sub is, like, you kinda have all the control. Like, I don't have the control, you have the control because you say what's gonna be happening and what's not gonna be happening. Like, you control whether we do something or not. And, I feel like the book wasn't really giving that, but the movie kind of gave that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kinda showed that a little bit more. But eventually, like I said, there's a lot more, like, punishment. There's, like, toy situations, in the book. There's a lot more communication from Christian in the book. He even reveals his past, saying his mother was a drug addict and died when he was 4. It's a monumental moment for him. Happens in the book, he has that actual direct conversation with her, but in the movie, he kind of reveals this information as she's asleep. Like, he kind of comes in and, like, talks to her while she's sleeping. Their communication progress is more slow in the movies than it's as in the books. Events aren't really aligning as much, but she does go to Georgia to see her mom. She's supposed to also have an interview with a PR company that we get only a glimpse at in the book with a man named Jack who is interviewing her, which will be essential later in the series. It's a very
You
essential
could tell
character.
there was some foreshadow going on in that interview
Yeah.
in the book.
That is a very essential character. Oh my gosh, I forgot, Crystal, you haven't read. I keep forgetting that you haven't read the rest of the series.
Nope.
I'm excited. Okay. So, but eventually she leaves for Georgia. She's angry at Christian for upgrading her a flight to first class. Okay.
Girl, just shut
Please. Shut up, sit down, drink your champagne,
up.
go to sleep. All right. During this time, she's kind of growing more confident to express her feelings to Christian. While she's away talking over email, and Christian is like, "Okay, thank God, like she's actually talking to me about things that she's feeling." And I totally get that. I feel
Right.
like that's super relatable. Being like, "I don't know how to talk to you to your face because you're really intimidating." But like, finally, now that we're having time apart, where you're not in my face all the time, I feel like I can like kind of express my feelings.
Yep.
He even brings up he has a therapist at one point. Uh, while he's gone though, he emails saying this part had me sick. He emails saying he's having dinner with an old friend. As they're having great conversation. I wanted to throw up. I remember wanting to throw up when I first read it, like way back when, and I wanted to throw up now. He's having dinner with an old friend. She hasn't heard from him all day, and then he finally responds that he's had dinner with Mrs. Robinson. Ew. He's like, I don't want to discuss this over email because she's upset. Even in the movie, he calls her because he knows that she's upset. And she's like, ignore. That's me. Blocked. Don't speak to me. But he eventually shows up there. Because of course
He
he's
does.
a stalker. He's a stalker. But in the book, he also brings up an ex named Layla, one of his exes, who is also essential.
It's the only ex he names, so I kind of figured that would come up again.
And that was that was one of the exes that wanted more, that he wasn't willing to give more. But he genuinely feels like he's trying with Anna. Even the next day, he takes her gliding, and he's like, that kind of made me emotional. Like, especially also in the movie where he's just like, is this more? Like, is this like the romance that you're looking for? Like, he really is trying.
And specifically, he's trying to share something with her that he loves.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like, you're not trying to learn what she loves, which is trying to hang out with her family right now. But
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, you could be, spending more time with the family, but okay. And I'll be like so into the book. Like, I'll be like, I'll have these moments where I'm like really into the story. And then I'll get to writing, like where she says, oh, crapola. or something like that. Or she's like, oh,
My
why do
inner
I?
goddess.
Yeah.
My subconscious. I hate that her inner goddess and her subconscious are two different characters in the book. They're two more characters, basically.
Yeah.
They
really
live
is.
within her, but they're their own characters.
Yeah.
She talks about what they're wearing, what they're doing, what they're looking at, what they're saying. Like, I don't want to hear about your inner goddess or your subconscious ever again.
I know. And she's like, why do I want to spend every minute with this guy? Oh, right. I've fallen in love with him and he can fly. I'm like, this, like, sometimes the writing can be so corny and it just, like, it will pull me out of the story.
Yep.
It's like, I love it because it feels like nostalgic almost.
Yeah.
But I'm like, what the hell is this?
Mm-hmm.
What the hell is this? So while Christian is there, he gets a call that he's got to go. He's got to get out of there. She also gets a call that she's been offered to be the assistant to Jack at the PR company. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
Essential later. But when she hasn't heard from Christian since he left, she gets back home and in Seattle she meets with Christian and he seems to be like panicked over something but relieved to be with her. Immediately taking her to the playroom, which this is the times that like kind of freaks me out. It's like you're angry about something, not about something about me, like we're not like doing like the punishment thing about, I rolled my eyes and like, whatever. I mean, not saying that that's good, but like that's the dynamic
No,
that's
but
happening.
at this point, he's taking out his
Anger of another
anger.
situation.
Yeah, and that's sus, to say the least.
Yeah, to say the least. So that's when I'm like, red flags. I mean, this is like the, 805th red flag we're at now.
Right.
That very sus weird. Where, I immediately need to take you to the playroom when you get here because I'm angry about something and I'm upset about something, which feels dangerous. And this whole scene, they're doing it to music, this whole like playroom scene to like music in the background. And we didn't need the slow-mo. We didn't need the slow-mo.
We really didn't.
I didn't want the slow-mo.
Mm-mm.
I want to speed this up. All right. I don't want the slow-mo. And, after this whole playroom scene, Anna's kind of speaking her mind, being like, why are you like this? Like, why do you need this? And he talks about how he needs to hurt her. This is the way he is. She says she doesn't like it as much as he doesn't like to be touched. So, like, we didn't really talk about this that much, but one of the essential things in the contract is that he does not want to be touched. He does not want to be touched, like, on his chest or anything like that. And that is a constant conversation. And she wants to touch him so bad. And he's like, no, I cannot be touched. And like he freaks out when she even attempts to or even gets near him to be touched. And she's like, the way that you want to hurt me is the same way I feel like when you don't want to be touched. And so she comes up with some type of logic to where she says she wants to know how bad it will hurt, like the worst punishment it could be. And she thinks if she does that, it will make him feel comfortable enough. Like she'll take that, like go that far with him, then he will go as far with her to let her touch him. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Compromise.
Yes.
Quid pro quo.
Yeah. She wants to know the maximum punishment and he gives it. And it ruins their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And how she looks at him. Because it was so bad. Anna's like, you're no good for me, and I've fallen in love with you. And Christian is like, oh no, you cannot love me. That's not how this works.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't want her to leave internally, but knows she has to. And the book and movie end with them breaking up.
Yep.
Cliffhanger. That's how the book and movie ends.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised.
Really?
I was wondering, I was like, Lindsey, are you okay?
I had no idea. I was like, man, this is the idea of you all over again.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. Well, at least there's multiple books after. It's not just completely ending that way. We have no other type of storyline happening
I'm
here.
assuming that the third one resolves everything. I hope.
I'm not saying anything.
I'm not for good or bad. I just hope there's like it ends instead of just like drops us off the edge of a
It
freaking
does
cliff.
have an ending.
Okay, thank you.
It does have an ending.
I checked out the book from the library. I'm reading it on my Kindle. And it says I have like 92% left in the book. And I get to that part and I'm like, wait a minute. This is the next book. So I didn't read it. I stopped. But yeah, I was really confused. I was like, that's it?
Yeah, that's literally how it
That's
ends.
it.
And I remember like finishing it and being like, oh my God, I have to start the next one right now. And you know what? I forgot to mention this. This was also like during the time that this was super popular, this was also when like later ebooks started becoming really popular as well, or like started becoming more of a thing. So then we could like all be reading like our 50 Shades of Grey without everyone knowing we were reading 50 Shades of Grey.
There you go. There you go.
That was also like a big thing at that time. So, yeah. But yeah, that
was it.
cliffhanger was crazy. Yeah. So that
And
was
somehow
it.
I still haven't read the second or third book.
I know. I can't believe whenever you read it originally, you didn't never continue.
I'm pretty sure I was like, what the hell? And then I got mad and moved on with my life.
So now that we dove into 50 Shades, the fanfic that took over publishing, movie theaters, and our collective curiosity, I think it's only fair we end with a question that's just as revealing in a different way. So tell me, what is each of your current hyperfixation right now? Because let's be honest, we've all gone down a rabbit hole or two, whether it's music, a book, a show, random niche topic on TikTok, anything like that. Crystal, current hyperfixation?
I mean, honestly, with my ADHD, I always have some hyperfixation going and usually more than one. But right now I'm like super into smells. I love candles, like scented candles, but I'm trying to get away from having open flames in the house because I also have a child and I've forgotten to blow candles out before and I just don't like the idea of a fire hazard. So now I'm like going down the wax melt thing, and like I have a collection of wax melts for different times of day, different types of weather, because you never know what kind of mood you're going to be in for a smell, like seasons change. Like, so yeah, I have a closet full of, honestly, you open the closet right now, it's just like a Bath and Body Works smash 50 cents. Exactly.
50 cents.
50 cents of, well, they are 50 cents of wax. Like, it's just ridiculous. But yeah, I have a couple different cute little wax melters and one in the kitchen and one in the living room. And yeah, I love them. That's my current one.
Yeah. I love, I have like a candle warmer and I use that all the time for my candles and stuff. What about you, Lindsay?
I probably have to say my current hyperfixation is me trying to expand my music and going into different genres and stuff. Specifically though, I have really been into Sleep Token.
We love Sleep Token in this house.
And then actually, Keri, you introduced me to Scene Queen, which I have really been enjoying her too. So
yay! I love Scene Queen.
Adding some new stuff to Tasty Jams over there.
Tasty Jam certified.
Tasty Jam certified. That's Lindsay's one and only playlist with all her favorite albums on it. Like, is this album Tasty Jam certified? Tasty Jam's approved?
Love it. Love it.
My current hyperfixation, you both already know this because I talk about it 24/7, and it's Smosh. I physically cannot stop watching Smosh, specifically Smosh games. I love Courtney, Shane, Amanda, Spencer, Angela, Chase. I'm so obsessed with Smosh. It's all I watch. Like, I'll get fixated on specific shows within the Smosh channel. Right now, I love Smosh games. That's like my favorite. But I've randomly been listening to all the ones where Shane reads Reddit stories and like he has different cast members like reacting to Reddit stories. I don't know. I literally cannot stop watching them. They are my absolute favorite. Love them.
Meanwhile, back in like 2010, 2011, I sent in fan mail to Smosh when it was just Ian and Anthony, and they were doing mail time with Smosh.
Aw.
I love that. That's amazing.
So
I know. I asked, I was like, does anybody know what Smosh, like, does anybody watch Smosh? Lindsay's like, me. Been there, done that. I love it.
Ian, Anthony.
Yes.
Schoolgirls.
Yes.
Anime schoolgirls.
I love it. All right, so that is a wrap on the first book of the 50 Shades of Grey series. Keep an eye out on our socials of when we will be continuing into 50 Shades Darker with that cliffhanger. It's going to be a couple of months. Everyone hold on. I really wanted to watch the second movie, but tried really hard not to. Thanks for listening and hanging out with us today. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share with your friends. Links to all of our socials are in our show notes. So please come chat with us and let us know your current hyperfixations. We really want to know what you're currently spiraling over right now. Or give us some of your recommendations that are similar to 50 Shades of Grey. Until next time, keep your books hot, your takes hotter, and your safe words clearly established. We'll see you next week in District 12.
Yep.
That's so unhinged that we moved to Hunger Games after this. Okay, bye!
Bye.
Bye!